This video is the first of 3 videos that demonstrate how to set up and utilize our BrightSign network account through BrightAuthor. This first video will show us how to configure a BrightSign unit to work with our BrightSign network account, confirm its connection, and easily edit network settings after the initial setup. The steps we'll cover are setting up a BrightSign unit on the network, confirming connection, and editing network settings. The first step is to launch BrightAuthor and sign into our BrightSign network account with our account name, user, and password. All BrightSign network customers receive their account login information once they have registered for the BrightSign network subscription. Once signed in, the next step is to create a setup file for our BrightSign unit. Go to Tools, Set up a BrightSign unit. Within the Setup dialog, the first thing we'll check is the Networked to BrightSign Network option, located under the Unit Configuration section of this screen. BrightSign network accounts start with the default group and local test group automatically. This setting allows you to associate this particular unit with a specific group to receive group-specific instructions and presentations. For this example, we'll stick with the default group. Below that, you'll have options for setting the frequency at which your unit will call into the network. This determines how often your unit will check for new presentations or management changes. You can have the unit check in frequently, but also keep downloads of larger presentation files to specific times of the day. These are the minimum settings for use with your network, but you can also specify other settings that will help you manage your unit. The Name Specification section allows you to give your unit a unique name and description. When managing multiple units on your network, taking a few seconds to name and describe your unit will prove to be extremely helpful. Under Network Properties, you can define what time zone your unit will reside in, as well as which time server to sync with. Also under the Network Properties are IP address settings. By default, these settings are set to obtain an IP address automatically, following the DHCP protocol. These settings should only be changed if you're familiar with network IP management and need to specifically set IP addresses for your BrightSign unit. The Firmware option allows you to optionally include a firmware update while setting up your unit. You can choose between the latest production version firmware released by BrightSign, the newer beta version, or even a specific firmware image you have locally. Once all our settings are complete, we'll simply click the Create Setup Files button to generate the configuration files for our unit. We'll create these files on an SD card, which will load into our unit. We can then navigate to our SD card and verify the configuration files were created successfully. Finally, we'll insert the SD card into our unit. Upon powering up the unit, it will be configured with our new settings as well as any firmware update we included, and it will join our BrightSign network and be ready for action. To confirm that this newly added BrightSign unit is on the BrightSign network, go to the Manage tab in BrightAuthor. Under the Status section, the newly added BrightSign unit will appear in about 1 minute after boot up with the setup files under the group you assigned it to. The green light indicator tells you the setup is successful and the unit has connected to the network. It should be noted that after this initial setup, if we need to change the group assignment or configuration of our unit in the future, we should simply do this remotely using BrightAuthor and not create a new setup file. We manage this once again by opening the Status section under the Manage tab, locate the unit's group, and then the unit itself, right-click and choose Edit. From here we can change the unit's group, unit name, description, connection frequency, and IP address, all conveniently from BrightAuthor.